We love South.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2023-2024 title meeting. We are holding this as a video because it's a little easier to get our message out to everybody. And for the sake of time, I know everybody is busy with all sorts of activities. You can kind of watch this at your leisure. So I'm going to go through some bullet points of some things that are important to you as a South Elementary parent. So let's just kick right in here and get started. First thing I want to talk to you about is attendance. Attendance is very, very important here at school. It's going to be important for your child as they go throughout their life. So I want to talk to you about a few things. First thing is the law. So Nebraska has a compulsory education law that they have in place, which requires all students that are from age 6 to 18 to attend public school or a private school or a home school, whatever that happens to be. So with this law being in place, there are certain things that us as a school district, we have to do. One thing is we have to take attendance every day, and we have to keep track of when students are missing or when they're gone, and then for what reasons they're gone. So a lot of times you will get a phone call if you have not called in to let us know that your student is going to be gone. We will follow up with that to try to make contact with you. It's very important that you answer those phone calls, and even more important if you can get that message to us, either through Dojo or giving us a call. We have a voicemail system set in place, so if you don't get a hold of anybody, you can leave a voicemail. We catch every one of those. And so it's very important. And so I have this nice little graphic here that I want to share and walk through with you about how attendance does matter and what happens if your student misses school. So, and occasionally this happens, but if your student is missing 2 days of school a month on average, they're going to miss about 20 days throughout the school year. And that 20-day mark is important because our state says at 20 days, if there is no plan in place, if parents are not communicating well with us, or if they are just not doing a very good job of getting kids to school, we can turn those students, those cases, over to the county attorney in violation of that law. That's something that we are required here at school to do. But in addition to that, missing 20 days, your student is going to be missing 30 hours of math over the year, 60 hours of reading and writing over the year. And if they continue that trend, they will have missed a full year of school by the time they graduate. And so it doesn't seem like that much, but truly it really adds up. I can't imagine taking a year away from my student and hoping that they make it in school. And then, of course, if you double that and they're missing 4 days a month, that's 40 days a year. And that's double the time off. And that's 2 years of school that you are taking away from them because we're not getting them to school. So attendance really does matter. It's very important to get your child here to school when you can. Now, illnesses happen, and that's something that's going to be, especially here in our lower elementaries. If your student is throwing up, if they have had a fever, please do keep them home when you can. The best thing to do here, and talking about the steps that we take and the steps that you can also take, is if you take them into a doctor, get a doctor's note. A doctor's note will medically excuse them. That absence does not count against them if they have to be gone for that. If you happen to get a letter, because this is what we do at 5 days absent that are not medically, so these would be a parent acknowledged or just gone for whatever it happens to be. At 5 days, we will send a letter home just keeping you aware of how many days your student has missed. At 10, we do the same thing. At 10 days, if they've hit 10 days before the semester is up, so halfway through that year, we are required to have an attendance meeting. And so you'll probably hear me or I'll give you a call to set up that meeting, and we'll do that with our county attorney's diversion coordinator just to make sure that there's not hurdles that are in place for your student missing school. Send a letter home at 15, and we send that letter home at 20 as well too. Okay, so those are the steps that we take. If you are getting those letters, just a reminder, the first couple of letters for sure are just an FYI. That's just for your information to know how many days your child has missed. Sometimes they just pile up quick. And so the steps that you can take are just to continue to have good communication here with us at school, to make sure you're avoiding unnecessary absences. So if you're getting a letter, especially if we're getting close to 10 by first semester, maybe don't take off that Friday to go out of town or to go on a vacation, or if your student is just kind of, they're just not feeling the best, but there's no fever, we're not throwing up, we're just kind of being maybe lazy and lethargic that day, we might need to get them to come come to school on those days if attendance is becoming an issue. So as long as you can do those things, then we will have no problems at all. And I do really appreciate you helping out and getting your child to school, because their attendance does matter and their learning does matter, and we don't want to take that away from them. So okay, next thing I want to talk to you about is this Friday. All of our MAP and Acadience reports will be coming home. So your student has been doing a lot of testing over the last couple of weeks here. We do our first round of testing right away here at South. And we have what are called our MAPS test and our Acadience reports that are going to be coming home. So take a look at those and check those out. I want to go over a couple of little bullet points about those and just to kind of let you know kind of what they do. The first thing is kind of an important one. If you have a second grader on that Acadience report, you're going to see that your child scored in the 0 percentile for that retail portion. Please disregard this. We do not do the retail portion of the assessment in second grade. We also don't do it in first grade. The biggest reason is that our MAP test tests those skills into more depth. And so in essence of trying to keep our testing and our assessments down and instruction up, we kind of cut that portion out because we feel it's redundant. So you're going to see that they're at the 0 percentile. That's not alarming. We did not test that. So please pay attention to the other ones. Those are the things that are the most important for your students. So in those graphs and those things that you're going to have, you're going to see a composite score. This would be a score. So all of the tests come together in the Acadience, come together to give you that composite score. And so then there's going to be a breakdown of each of the different types of tests that we have, kind of what they cover and what they do. We will go into further detail with this during virtual curriculum night, so I don't want this video to be really, really long. So for the sake of time, just read the reports. The reports give a very good description to each of those tests. And if you have any questions, then reach out to your teacher or Mrs. Schneider, who's our instructional coach. But taking a look at those, it gives you the percentiles, it gives you kind of where they're at. MAP is the same way. It will show you their growth. But the big thing with the growth on your MAP report that you're seeing is that this is coming from last fall to this fall. So our first graders, it's comparing where they started in kindergarten to where they're starting in first grade. Second grade is where they started in first grade and now where they're at starting in second grade. So it's that growth is from the start of the year to the start of the year. We did that just because you don't really see growth over the summer. We haven't had instruction with them. So to kind of get an idea of how much they've grown, we're showing you that growth that way. So as you get reports later on in the year, you'll see kind of more of a comparison of how they're doing this year. But for this first one, that's kind of what's going to be shown. So we also are going to be having read plan letters that are coming home with these reports. These read plan letters have to go to all students. So every single student, regardless of whether they qualified for a read plan, you will be getting a letter that kind of explains our process to this. And that's because this is also a Nebraska state law. We have to provide a read plan for any student who is not reading at grade level. And we decide those students through our testing. So for second grade, we use our MAP reading score to determine whether or not a student is reading at grade level. In first grade, we use our Acadience composite score. So that's the determination of whether or not your student qualifies for a read plan or not. Now, so what does that look like? Read plans are just a focus for us to make sure that we catch your student up or make sure that they have adequate gains. Those plans will be coming home in about 2 weeks. So those specific plans. So when you get the letter, if it says that your student qualifies for a read plan, that plan will be coming home in 2 weeks, and that will have more details about what we're going to do to hopefully catch them up or make sure that they have adequate growth throughout this school year. If your student did not qualify for a read plan, then there's nothing that you really need to worry about. It's just a matter of just staying on top of how they're doing each and every day anyways. So nothing different there. So let's switch. South Elementary is a Title I building, and this is the whole purpose of this little video, is to kind of educate you on what that means. So what a Title I building means. So all federal funding comes from the government, and Title I is a federal program. And so we get money from the federal government because we are a Title I program. So Title I is a special program that helps schools that have a lot of students with not a lot of money. And what it does is it gives us extra money to make sure that we give all students a good education. So we can use this money in different ways. here at South, we use it for staffing. We have a Title I teacher, Mrs. Wern. So Mrs. Wern is able to provide some extra resources for students, whether that be interventions or setting up special instruction for those students, or just providing more ways to track their progress. That's kind of what she does. We can also use this towards resources. And what we've done in the past is we have bought student technology that students that are at risk or at need of extra assistance can have access to. And then also things that we can use in their intervention programs that we have in place. So that's kind of how we use it here at South. So a big thing here is that parents are very important to this program. So we want to provide you with the best opportunities for the kids to do well at school here. And so one of the things that you signed at the very beginning of the year was our Title I Compact. And that was kind of an agreement that you and us as a school and your student, we're all going to try our best to make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure students grow and learn. And so that Title I Compact is a very important document there. It's kind of a promise to each other that we're going to support each other in for the students that you have there. So the biggest thing is the goal of Title I is to make sure that every child, no matter where they come from, gets a good education and gets a chance to succeed. And that is our main goal. That's what we're going to be trying to work towards. So that's our Title I information. I do want to share with you that on our school website, so if you go to SydneyRaiders.org and you click on schools and you go to South's specific website, you can see our title plan located right there. So if you click on that little tab that says Title I Info, you'll get a chance to watch this video again, but then you'll also see our Title I plan, our compact, that sort of thing that's in there. The last thing I want to talk to you about before I let you go is our parent communication. We communicate solely through Class Dojo for about everything that we do here at school. So all news was going to be shared on Class Dojo. So if you do not have that, you're not connected to that, please do so, because that's where that stuff will be at. I try to create events for things that are coming up to kind of keep that in the minds of what's going on. We'll post announcements in there. Your teacher will be sharing information as well. So we have that school story, those direct messages. This is big. So direct messages on Class Dojo are huge. You can reach out to myself as a principal, Mrs. Hammond, our secretary, Miss Cole, our counselor, your teacher, any specials teachers. You have access to that person. So if you have a question, please feel free to send that out to them. We'll be very prompt in responding. Just be aware if you do respond or send a message in the evenings or on the weekends, a teacher may not get back to you until either the next morning or on Monday morning. So just keep that in mind. Share those information or those messages whenever. Just be aware of respecting their personal time. They may have to wait until the next day, depending on what's going on. So one of the big things too is that all district information is going to be shared via Remind. Okay. So if it's a snow day, if we have a cancellation of some sort, something that is pertinent district-wide, it'll be shared out from Remind. And if you want to get on to the South Remind to get those text messages, all you need to do is text that code right there to the number 81010. And then you will get those text messages. So like I said, snow day. I will say that I will reflect all of the district messages on Class Dojo as well. Okay. Please enter the school's phone number as a contact on your phone. So if we ever try to get a hold of you, that we can. I know sometimes with robocalls and things like that, if you don't recognize the number, you don't answer it. So please add this as a contact in your phone, so that way when I do call, or if Mrs. Hammond calls or a teacher calls, that you know that that's coming from the schools and it's not something to disregard. Okay. If you have to call the school, call that same number right there. If you choose extension 6, that will take you right to South Elementary. But the biggest thing is feel free to use Dojo to communicate. You can use that to communicate with your teacher, with Miss Cole, with Mrs. Onstad, or Mrs. Hammond, or myself. We're all available through that, so please utilize that. I thank you all for your time. I really appreciate our start of the year has been fantastic this year. I've really enjoyed getting to know all of our new first graders, and then seeing our second graders coming back has been fantastic. So thank you for sitting through this title meeting. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you all, and have a great day.